What's up, my dudes? We got Kenny Roczen out here making a pretty next level post on his social media just a few days ago. I'm sure everybody and their grandmother saw that one. He said something along the lines of like, I'll try to make it short and sweet for you here. He said something along the lines of like, a lot of people doubted me. And even I started to believe it at one point. I will be back at the highest level of racing. I don't care what anybody says, sort of that kind of vibe. So this is pretty big deal right here. I think a lot of people, a lot of people's been saying Ken Roczen's done, especially after this Supercross series. He pulled out of the series midways through it. I don't even know what the actual reason was. Obviously, Roczen's been going through some kind of weird, mysterious, physical thing of some kind. I don't know. He's kind of been going through that for a couple years now, ever since the arm, shoulder, wing injury. Fuck, I don't know. It seemed like he tore the whole thing off back in that Supercross crash that he had. And then he re-injured it. You guys know the whole story on that. So, but boy, it seems like Roczen he's not done in his mind yet. And I tell you what's the strongest thing in a human. It's their mind. It takes your mind and your dedication and will to do it. That's where it has to come from before anything else, because then you can start making your physical better, then you can start doing everything else. But yeah, interesting to see this out of Roczen. Like, he's really been seeing and hearing everybody saying everything about thinking that he's done or whatever. And I personally, I don't know. Roczen won the first Anaheim 1 Supercross race this year, so it's not like he's just totally out of the box of, like a championship contender, or certainly not out of the box of a win contender. I think some people love to jump the gun to assume certain things just because it sounds good in a social media post or something like that, right? It's good to stir up a little bit of drama, right? But at the end of the day, it's like Roczen could easily come out next year in Supercross and be pretty damn good. And we all know that. You know what I mean? We all know. It just depends on if he can get his, whatever his weird little ailments that he's got going on, if he can get all that solved. I don't know if he ever can get it solved, with how bad of his injury was. Obviously, he's never going to be exactly like the Ken Roczen he was before that crash. That's why I always try to tell you boys, all it takes is one crash to totally change your entire motocross career, whether you're an amateur or a pro or a ride the bike in the backyard. It don't take a lot to break a finger, break a arm, break concussion. The list goes on, and anything you do to your body like that, we're not invincible mechanical machines, even though sometimes our brains kind of have to go into that mode when we're riding or racing to not just totally freak ourselves out. But, human flesh humans are not a very sturdy thing in this world, really, when you think about it, especially when you're on a machine that is making you go faster than you technically should in this world. And metal and all that stuff. I love it to death, and it's what I do, but it is one of the most, if not the most dangerous sports there is out there. So, but yeah, as far as Ken Roczen, I still easily think he could come back out and win multiple Supercross races in a series. As far as Roczen winning another Supercross championship, and that's kind of what it goes back into what he was saying in his post. What does he mean by he's going to be back at the highest level of racing? What is that for Roczen at this point? I don't know. Because, he did win a Supercross race this year. But, Roczen has never really been, I don't feel like super close to winning a Supercross 450 title before. He did get the outdoor title on the Ricky Carmichael Suzuki team, right? But I don't know. I don't know what Roczen thinks he's going to be able to do, even if he was totally healthy. I mean, when you're going up against like dudes like Eli Tomac, especially how Jason Anderson rode this year, I mean, it's just not easy, no matter what the fuck's going on, So, I don't know. Yeah, it did kind of seem like Roczen, going through a little bit of a career crisis in a sense, I guess you could call it. A lot of people thought he was done. A lot of people thought he was probably going to retire. But it seems like he's still raring to go. As far as what team he's going to be on and all that, I have no idea what his stuff is with Honda at this point. I don't think he's fully, I don't think he's fully lived up to what Honda thought he was going to be able to do. Obviously, with all the injuries that he had. And then kind of re-injuring and things like that. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, I still feel like Roczen can do just about as good as he's ever done in a Supercross championship. Like, he's always been able to win races. That's never really even been the problem with Roczen. Even back when he was pretty fast on that Suzuki in Supercross, like, yeah, I remember him coming out swinging like those first few rounds. Well, he looked pretty much just about that good, like when he won those 3 in a row Supercross races on the Honda that year, like a year or two ago. Obviously, it's a different kind of riding style, and that's what I mean by like Roczen's never going to be the exact same Roczen he was before that arm injury, because he has to basically like kind of change his riding style a little bit, and there's no telling what all they've done set up on the bike to get it more comfortable for him, like one side versus the other. But it is bizarre because I thought at this point, like, if all of the rehab and this, that, and another he could have been doing to his arm injury, that's pretty much been done at this point. Like, it's not like he's waiting on his arm to get better or something like that. I just couldn't imagine that still being the case at this point. It's more of a case of like his arm is what it is, and I think he's got other issues going on with his body. I think he's got other weird, sometimes these motocross, supercross guys get a lot of weird like sicknesses and diseases and shit like that. And that's all I'm really going to say to that. But, it does seem like when the tough really gets going in like the end of a motocross series or the end of a supercross series where you still got to be putting in those results after you've already raced, 10, 11, 12 weekends in a row, that's the thing that I just don't think, no matter what Roczen does, I don't know how he's going to do that. Because I've just seen these past couple years where, yeah, he can come out there swinging Anaheim 1. Yeah, he can go out there and do pretty good at like round 3, 4, and 5. But like when it becomes really important to still be getting those good points and still be doing good, that's the part that Roczen seems to struggle with the most. Like being able to hang on at the end of a 450 Moto 2. Things of that nature. And if he really was in the position to win like a Supercross championship later in the series, boy, I just don't know how he would, how he fell apart in that 2020 series. It was between him and Tomac were basically tied at Daytona, and then it just went totally down the shitter after that in all the Salt Lake City races. So, I don't know. It is very cool to see Roczen still after it, still keeping his mind in it, not giving a shit about what anybody's saying, just doing it. And that's what you have to do in this life. I don't give a motherfuck what anybody tries to say about what you're doing or what you can and can't do or this, that, and another. The only thing that matters in this world is what your own mind thinks about it and what you're gonna do about it. That's the only thing that fucking matters. All that talking don't really mean anything. It don't really do anything. So, But, you know, I'm sure a lot of people never even thought Roczen was going to be able to do what he has done. So that's what I'm a little confused about, like, Roczen saying, I will be back at the highest level of racing. I mean, yeah, you've already made it back to winning Supercross races and doing a lot of things that I don't think people really expected you to be able to come back and do after that gruesome of an injury, you know? But yeah, but at the end of the day, I still don't know how realistic it would be for Roczen to win a Supercross championship. I just don't know. And I'm not trying to be the guy trying to say Roczen can't do it, but he's just going to have to get it figured out with whatever kind of other physical thing he's got going on. And I'm sure all that shit's easier said than done or whatever. And maybe him pulling out of the Supercross series this year was the perfect thing for him to do, to give him time to regroup, rethink about everything he's doing. You know, that's why a lot of these guys retire early, because they just never get a break. You know, they just never get a break, especially the real consistent riders. They just never get a break. So either way, man, definitely let me know down in the comments what you think about Roczen's, you know, social media post on all this. I just had to come in here and make a video on it. He got a little defensive, and, you know, rightly so. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, you know, it's so quick for people to say, well, this guy's done, or that guy's done, or this guy's not going to be able to do it anymore. But my whole point with all of that is, like, what did you think Roczen was going to be able to do? Go out there and win a fucking Supercross championship? Like 3 Supercross championships in a row? I mean, he's never really been in the position to do that at round 14, 15, and 16. You know, he's never really been in it like that at the end of a Supercross series. So I don't even know, like, what some people expected Roczen to be able to do. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, for Roczen to even win races at this point in Supercross, I feel like that in itself is back at the highest level of racing. And he did that this year. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know what it's just hard to say, man. You just don't know what all these guys are going through behind the scenes. So who knows? Roczen seems to have the full determination, and sometimes that's all it takes. You know, there's a lot of guys that are plenty capable, like physically, but they just don't have that determination. They don't have that mental capacity. They don't have that drive, and Roczen's always had that. He's never lacked that. He's always had that, you know. He's always had himself at one of the higher levels of this sport since he's been racing, period. So, you know, I know Roczen wants to go in there and win Supercross championships and do stuff like that, but, like, I think he needs to kind of baby step, work himself back into it again, and that would probably be the best solution for him. Hopefully he can stay on Honda, because that's the bike he won't have to worry so much about learning a whole new bike. I think that would be tough on Roczen at this point, to go learn a whole new bike and team. But it's like, I mean, I feel like if somebody's winning Supercross races, like, they're basically getting good enough results to stay on one of the teams. You know what I mean? But after Roczen having all the injuries and doing all that kind of stuff, I don't know how connected Honda is, or how much they still believe in Roczen or whatever. So that may play a part in it. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, love to see the determination out of Roczen. He's already proved you can do anything, you know. Like I say, with the injuries that he's already had, he's already proved he can come back and race at the highest level of the sport. So I was a little confused by his social media post, because he's basically already done what he said he was gonna do in that post. But I don't know, maybe he meant like he's gonna come back and fucking really challenge for a Supercross championship. Maybe seems you know, fairly unlikely at this point, but maybe he can do it. Who knows, man? But either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. See you boys on that next one. Later, dudes.